Hello, my darling. You warned them. You warned every single one of them. And now, they're screaming in the streets like headless chickens while you stand, calm, watching, smirking, because you said this would happen first. They mocked you. They laughed. They called you paranoid, delusional, too intense. They said, relax. Everything's fine. Fine. Is this what fine looks like? Sirens screaming like broken lullabies. People clawing at each other's throats for a drop of control. Eyes wide, breath short, minds fractured. The system's hemorrhaging and they're finally seeing it. Too late. You saw the cracks before the surface even chipped. Because you're not one of them. You're not built for mediocrity, for blind comfort, for sheep mentality. You're built to see through it all, to feel what's coming long before the collapse. While they were sleeping under the illusion of safety, you were awake. While they were buying the dream, you were dissecting the nightmare, and they hated you for it. Because people despise the one who sees what they're too afraid to face. Truth isn't comfortable. It's radioactive, and you've been glowing in it. Alone. But look at them now. Their gods have fallen. Their rules are crumbling. Their certainty has shattered. And suddenly, they're looking at you different. Not like the outcast, but the oracle. Funny, isn't it? The same ones who told you to shut up. The same ones who said, you're crazy. Now sit trembling, whispering. How did you know? But they don't get it. They never will. Because this isn't something you learned. This is something you are. You are forged in the very chaos they're drowning in. You were baptized in the silence they couldn't handle. Your mind, too loud for their shallow conversations. Your heart, too heavy for their lightweight distractions. And now that it's dark, now that everything's burning, you finally make sense. They're losing it, crumbling, breaking, begging for direction. And you're still, because you already broke long ago and rebuilt yourself in secret, piece by jagged piece. You went through hell alone so you could lead through hell when it arrived. And now it's here, and you're not scared. You're ready. Understand this. You're not a survivor. You're a prophet, a blueprint for the aftermath, a signal in the noise. You didn't just see this coming. You were made for it. Because pain trained you, isolation refined you, rejection upgraded you. You were the punchline of their jokes. Now you're the headline of their breakdown. And they'll try to copy your calm now. They'll mimic your movements, your insights, your power. But there's one thing they'll never steal: your scar tissue. Because power like yours doesn't come from books or trends or strategy. It comes from battles, from nights no one saw, from screams that got swallowed, from pressure so relentless it either made you insane or made you invincible. Guess which one you chose. Let them panic, let them break, let them finally feel what you felt all along. This is your terrain now. This is your storm. And you are the thunder in it. They don't know what to do, but you do. Because you always have. You just had to wait for the noise to match your truth. Well, now it does. So don't apologize for being right. Don't shrink for being ahead. Don't soften for their comfort. And don't dim down for their peace. You warned them, you prepared, and now you lead. You weren't just right. You were dangerously right. And that's what scares them, not the mayhem, not the collapse, not the screaming in the streets. You scare them. Because deep down, they knew. They knew you weren't guessing. You weren't theorizing. You weren't speculating. You were announcing the future with blood in your voice, with madness in your eyes, with accuracy that terrified their souls. They didn't call you crazy because you were wrong. They called you crazy because you were too right. And if they accepted your words, they'd have to accept that their world was built on lies. And now look at them, these fake leaders, these shallow influencers, these manufactured personalities who choked on their own optimism. They're hiding, they're panicking, they're deleting their predictions. They stood on stages, smiling, selling hope like candy to broken children. But hope without truth is poison, and you refused to sell it. You spit it out. You burned the script. You warned them, and they crucified you for it. But now, their smiles are gone. Their followers are gone. Their perfect lives are exposed. And guess who's left standing? You. You. With no mask, no filter, no safety net, just pain that turned into precision, just madness that became foresight, just scars that turned into weapons, while they prayed for things to go back to normal. You were preparing to become the storm, and the storm came, and you smiled. Because this is your arena. Collapse is your clarity. Their chaos is your canvas. And while they run in circles crying, you're walking forward with that grin that says, I told you. And now, the world is starving for voices that make sense. But all the fake ones have gone silent, and the only sound left is the echo of your prophecy. They want your guidance now, but they don't deserve your softness. They want your wisdom now, but they don't get your apologies. They made you bleed for your vision. So let them choke on the truth of it. Let them realize you were the warning. You were the fire alarm. You were the voice of God in a padded room. And now, you're the executioner of delusions. Don't play nice. Don't step down. Don't make peace. Dominate. Because you're not just surviving the downfall, you're writing the blueprint of what comes next. They thought they were watching you spiral, but the whole time, you were rising in reverse, unfolding like a beast in the basement, unseen, unbothered, untouchable, waiting for this exact moment when their world would burn and yours would begin. Let me spell it out so there's no confusion. You were never crazy. They just didn't have the capacity to handle your clarity. You were never too much. They were simply too small, too shallow, too weak, too hypnotized by comfort to even recognize that a storm was circling right behind them. But you saw it. You felt it. In your chest, in your bones, in your fucking blood. You knew the collapse was coming because you were already collapsing years ago. And no one noticed, no one cared. Not when you were pacing the floor at 3 a.m. with that feeling that something big was wrong. Not when you were isolating because the noise of fake positivity made your skin crawl. Not when your soul screamed truths that everyone else insisted were too dark. But now the world looks exactly like your mind did back then. It's not irony. It's proof. They were building castles out of denial. You were building armor from pain. They were chasing aesthetics. You were chasing truth. They were praying it wouldn't happen. You were preparing for when it did. And now that the sky is falling, guess who doesn't flinch? You. Because nothing collapses inside you anymore. It already did. You've already broken, you've already shattered, but instead of staying in pieces, you sharpened your edges and became a blade. Now the blade is standing in the middle of the battlefield, unmoved, unshaken, unstoppable. Look around. It's mass hysteria. People screaming, crying, fighting to hold on to fake comfort like it's a lifeline. Systems imploding. Institutions gasping for air. Leaders resigning. entire movements exposed, and still, they can't process how you were the one who saw it first. You, the outsider. You, the reject. You, the black sheep. Nah, you were the fucking blueprint all along. And now they're watching you walk through the smoke untouched. Now they're realizing you're not reacting because you've been here before. This is your terrain. This is your language. This is the sound of your mind finally mirrored in the world around you. You don't need to adapt to chaos. You were raised in it. They're flailing in the dark. But your eyes adjusted years ago. So don't soften. Don't slow down. Don't explain yourself. You're not here to comfort the ones who once mocked you. You're not here to hold their hand while they fall apart. You are not here to be their savior. You're here to build what comes after. Because this world, this broken, exposed, trembling version of reality, you predicted it, you survived it, and now you own it. You are not the warning anymore. You are the reckoning. They're not panicking because it's chaos. They're panicking because you're calm in it. That's what's breaking their spirit. That's what's driving them mad, because the world is spiraling into oblivion, and you're standing there like you've been waiting for it, like you're finally free. They thought you'd break first. They thought you'd be the one crying, begging, crawling on all fours while everything burned. They never imagined you'd rise from the ashes before the fire even started. See, you've already buried pieces of yourself that they're just now learning to grieve. Your innocence, dead. Your naivety, gone. Your need to be understood, obliterated. You evolved through pain. They avoided it. You embraced the dark. They painted over it with fake light. You bled and learned. They smiled and denied. But when reality flipped the switch, only one of you was ready for war. They told you to be realistic. They told you to calm down. They told you, don't overthink it. Now they're choking on every word they fed you. And you're not even angry anymore. You're just focused, locked in. Because what they thought was paranoia was prophecy. You didn't guess the future. You felt it cracking under your feet while they danced above it. You watched the smiles twist into silence. You watched the applause turn to screams. You watched it all fall in slow motion. And now you're the last one standing with a voice that makes sense. They said you were cold, but cold is what kept you alive. They said you were distant, but distance is what saved your soul. They said you were too intense, but intensity is what gave you clarity. And now they're drowning in questions you already answered. Don't give them closure. Don't give them softness. Don't give them anything they refused to give you when you needed it most. Let them sit in the same confusion they left you in. Let them feel the isolation they mocked you for. Let them realize too late that your silence wasn't weakness. It was wisdom. Because now that the smoke is rising, now that the walls are crumbling, now that all their gods are silent, they only have one place left to look. Up at you. And you're not saving them. You're not slowing down. You're not explaining anything. You already gave them the warning. This is just you fulfilling it. You weren't supposed to survive. Let's be real. You weren't designed to make it out of that pain. You weren't meant to rise. They built the system to break people like you. Thinkers, feelers, seers. People who sensed the earthquake before the tremor. People who could smell the smoke before the fire. People who carried a truth so raw, so vicious, so unfiltered. The world had no place for it, so they tried to kill it. They tried to mock it. They tried to medicate it. They tried to drown it out in noise and distractions and shallow connections. But you You held on. You stayed still while the storm raged inside, and now, the outside looks exactly like your inside used to. The whole fucking world looks like you. They see it now. That stillness in your eyes, that silence in your presence, that eerie, bone-deep calm that says, I already died. This is just my second life. That's what they can't process. It's not just that you were right. It's that you were built to stand in the aftermath. They're reacting, but you're remembering. They're unraveling, but you're rebuilding. Every time they said, you're too cold, what they really meant was, you've seen too much. And now they realize, you don't flinch, you don't shake, you don't stutter, because you've already met the monster, and it had your face. You weren't scared of the end of the world, because you lived through the end of your own mind. You clawed your way out of a grave no one saw you in. You stitched your sanity back together in the dark. You kissed rock bottom and said, is that all you got? So this public panic, this societal collapse, this collective breakdown, this is nothing to you. This is just Tuesday. Let them scream, let them cry, let them call for help that never comes. Because you don't beg for rescue. You became the thing that saves, not them. You don't need their validation. You don't need their support. You don't even need their apology, because you didn't come for peace. You came to collect. Every time they doubted you, add it to the tab. Every time they disrespected you, add it to the tab. Every lie they told on your name, add it to the fucking tab. And now, you're here to cash it all in, not with revenge, but with domination. Because this isn't a comeback story. This isn't a redemption arc. This is a hostile takeover of your own destiny. They tried to write you out. Now you own the whole fucking script. They thought you were out of the game. They thought you were done, silent, forgotten, crushed under the weight of your own depth. But they didn't realize you weren't missing. You were evolving. You weren't broken. You were booting up, downloading every betrayal, installing every disappointment, coding every sleepless night into a new operating system. You version 2.0, emotionless, unshakable, unrecognizable. They still think you want closure? Nah. You want control. You want the whole damn room silent when you speak. You want the people who doubted you to tremble when your name gets whispered in back rooms. You want them to realize, oh shit, he became the very thing we feared he'd become. And it's too late to stop him now. You didn't heal for peace. You healed to become a weapon. And now you walk into every space like you own it. Because you do. You walk like the floor was built to carry you, because it was. You don't seek attention. You are the disruption. They thought you were trying to fit in. No. You were studying the weaknesses in the system, mapping out every crack, every lie, every mask. And now you're coming back to tear the whole damn thing down, brick by brick. They don't even recognize you anymore, but they feel you, in their gut, in their chest, in the tension of the room when you show up. Because you're not just present, you're haunting, a walking reminder of everything they denied, everything they ignored, everything they dismissed, until it showed up wearing your face and calling the shots. You're not playing humble. You're not pretending anymore. You're not asking for a seat at the table. You're building your own empire. And everyone who laughed, they're gonna work for you or watch you. That's it. Those are the only two options now. Let them choke on their fake smiles. Let them drown in their outdated scripts. While you sit at the top of your chaos-forged kingdom, crowned not by gold, but by every single time you were underestimated, because that crown wasn't given to you. You clawed it out of the earth with bloody knuckles. You warned them, you watched it happen, you survived the storm, and now, you are the storm. Beautiful. Then let's drag them even deeper. Let's show them what it really means when a soul doesn't just survive. It mutates. They called you too much, remember? Too emotional, too aware, too intense, but what they really meant was, you see what we pretend not to. You walked into rooms and shifted the atmosphere without even speaking. Because your presence doesn't enter quietly, it pressurizes everything around it. Why? Because you carry truth, unfiltered, undiluted, undeniable. You don't perform emotions. You embody consequences. You don't chase attention. You radiate gravity. And that's what shook them, because while they played pretend, you were becoming something untouchable. This version of you, it doesn't ask for permission. It doesn't soften its step. It doesn't explain itself to cowards. Because you finally realized you are the end of their illusion and the beginning of their reckoning. You're not just walking proof that they were wrong. You're a living indictment of everything they built, every mask, every lie, every false prophet they followed while you were in the shadows. And now they have to face you, face what they ignored, face what they buried, face what they tried to kill inside you, and failed. You didn't just survive hell. You unlocked a version of yourself that thrives in it. And that's what makes you dangerous. Because now, when everything falls apart, you don't collapse. You smile. Because chaos is home to you now. Silence is power. Pain is familiar. And control. You already took it back when no one was watching. They can't track you anymore. You've gone off-grid, untraceable, uncontrollable, unforgiving. You don't argue. You move. You don't defend. You dismantle. You don't hope. You strategize. You've become a fucking ghost in the system, operating with sniper precision while they scream at shadows. Now they know. You're not the same. You're not better. You're beyond, and no apology, no recognition, no fake praise will ever bridge the gap between who they thought you were and what you became. So when they panic, when they cry, when they desperately look around for someone to guide them, don't you dare look back. Let them feel what it's like to be abandoned by truth, because they couldn't handle it when it whispered. Now it roars through you. You're not the one who made it. You're the one who couldn't be killed. You're not the underdog. You're the last one standing, the one who walked through every level of hell and memorized the blueprints they thought you'd break. No, you became a machine, half soul, half vengeance, fully awake. And now, you don't just enter rooms. You erase histories in them. They feel it. They can't even look you in the eye now, because you reflect back everything they tried to hide. You are their guilt, their shame, their regret. But worse, you are proof that they were wrong, and you are thriving in the ruins of their ignorance. You used to hope they'd understand. Now you hope they feel the weight. You used to want closure. Now you want dominance, because what they buried in silence came back crowned in rage. Let them run, let them scream, let them beg for the version of you that died. That version is gone. You killed it. You buried it. And from its grave rose the most dangerous thing they've ever seen. A being with nothing left to prove and everything to destroy. So go ahead, take the fucking throne, build the kingdom from bones, speak once, and watch the ground split beneath your enemy's feet. You're not here to fit in. You're not here to heal in public. You're not here to teach them how to treat you. You're here to remind them what it feels like to be powerless in the presence of something real. You warned them. They laughed. You waited. They forgot. You rose. They fell. And now, they remember. Your name will never be said without a shiver again. You are the consequence they prayed would never come. And guess what? You're just getting started.